Iron Purpose, what is up? We are coming back at you from another episode on the road. Life just gets real busy, so I figured I'd get an episode in while I'm driving to go pick up Caden from his daycare, and I just kind of wanted to hop on here and share something that has been on my mind over the past maybe week or so. And hopefully you can get over the bumpiness of this episode because we're driving, obviously, and so it's a little bit of a shaky, and it is hands-free. I'm not touching anything. I don't even have to look at you. Here I am looking straight at the road, paying attention to all of my surroundings. So we are solid. Don't worry about that. So also, if you don't like watching the bumpiness, you can tune into Spotify, listen on there, or just throw on the sound on your YouTubes. But I guess the only thing I would like you to see is this hat. It is a one of a kind. Actually, there are 3 out there in existence. Stay Sharp Iron Purpose hat with the upside down backwards logo that you see sometimes. Some colleges, I think I saw it. Some college football teams or some colleges did it, or like who else did it? I can't remember where I saw it for the first time. Either way, I was like, well, that's kind of neat. I really like that idea. Just because people look at it and they go, what does that say? And then you can strike up a conversation, kind of get a chance to talk about what you're repping, what the brand is that you're repping. But I thought it was pretty neat. Stay sharp, upside down, backwards, kind of catch people's eyes. And then on the side here is the Iron Purpose, which is pretty cool. I love the color scheme. Got some good comments on it. So if you're interested, let me know. I'll get a list going and we'll get something started. They're not for sale quite yet, but just wanted to get it out there just to kind of show you and maybe wear it around myself. It's kind of cool to rep it, rep the home team, rep the brand, Iron Purpose, get it out there, show other people. Again, Iron Purpose, iron sharpens iron, Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, one person sharpens another. So it's all about just building a community where we can come together and learn and grow and hear about stories of other people. If you haven't watched before, I love just bringing people on and having conversations with them so I can learn and I can grow, and hopefully other people listening to the conversation can do the same. We all go through this thing that we call life. We all are experiencing it in some way, shape, or form, and sometimes our experiences and our perspectives, actually a lot of times, those situations are different. And when we can share them, we can open up new views, new perspectives, new viewpoints on different situations or different struggles, adversities, whatever. And we can kind of come together and go, oh, I guess I'm not alone in this. This person struggles with this and this is how they beat it. Or, man, they went through that and now they're this. So it's really cool to be able to do that and to have those conversations with people, grow those relationships, grow that group of people you can rely on, that group that you can be sharpened by. And as iron sharpens iron, I am hopefully able to sharpen somebody else, and somebody else is definitely has been able to sharpen me in my past, and I know they will in the future. So we're going to keep on trucking on. We're going to keep putting these things out. And we're always going to be here. If you don't want to listen to it, if you don't want to listen to the episode now or later or today or tomorrow, they're always going to be there, just like an outlet on a wall. You're not always going to plug into it. You're always not going to need to charge your phone right there in that area, but it's always going to be there if you need it, for myself as well. So I appreciate you. Seriously, I appreciate everybody who tunes in, everybody that comments on it. It really means a lot, and it only helps my self-growth, and all my friends and my family. Everybody gets to benefit from it. So it's been a lot of fun. It's super cool, and we got more to come. But enough on that. Enough on the merch. Episode I kind of want to talk about today is, and I guess I should have prefaced there. This is a disclaimer. There is a spoiler alert within this podcast. So if you are a fan of Survivor, the TV show, the 50th season is out right now, and they're dropping episodes weekly. I think every Wednesday night they're dropping new ones. So as of May 11th, 2026, the last episode would have been a couple days ago, but one of my favorite players got voted out, and I was really bummed about it. I was like, dang, I've been watching this guy for a long time. Ozzy, if you've seen the show, a lot of nostalgia for my family because we've been watching it. Growing up, I watched the show, and so Ozzy was on it. I don't remember, I think it was 2006. Yeah, 2006. So it's 20 years ago. I'm 30 years old. So I was 10 years old when I was watching this guy on there, and I was cheering him on. I think he made it to the end and didn't quite win it, but he's been on a couple times since then, and including this season. And I was really bummed when he got voted off. He got voted off with a hidden immunity idol in his pocket, so he could have played it and it would have saved him, but he had no idea. He was blindsided. And so that was a bummer. And I got really thinking, man, his his goal has been to get on Survivor and become the winner of, Survivor, the sole survivor. You made it. You outplayed, you outwitted, and you outlasted everybody else. And it was kind of a bummer. Somebody I was cheering on, he got voted off, and I was like, man, he's probably never going to get it. That probably was his closest chance again to get it, and it's gone. And I internalize things. I take things too seriously sometimes. I get too attached, invested. That's the word. And when he got voted off, my wife kind of looked at me and she's like, "Oh, like this is one of those things you're invested in, man." She's like, "I'm sorry. I feel kind of bad." And it's a goofy little situation, but I was bumming. It was like a Vikings loss or like, a Michael Chandler loss. I was like, dang, it kind of ruins my the next couple hours of my life. But then I get back on track and we're fine. Don't worry about me. I'll be okay. I promise. But it was sad. It was tough, and it got me thinking. A lot of times in life we have these goals. I have a goal that I want to achieve, and I'm not always gonna hit it. The Vikings trying to get a Super Bowl. Lord willing, they'll get one before I die. But those players, they're going after something, and there's people that play a number of seasons. I look at Adrian Peterson, one of the best Vikings of all time. He never got a Super Bowl win. That was something that it was his goal. It was all of their goals. They go out there and they try to get it, and they just don't get it. But it doesn't mean that it was all for nothing. He just got inducted into the Vikings Ring of Honor, which was pretty cool. And he had little accolades. He was the last MVP that wasn't a quarterback. He got MVP, I think, in 2012 as a running back, and it's been quarterbacks ever since. And that was the year after he blew out his ACL. So he didn't get the Super Bowl, but it doesn't mean that he can't play like he's playing in the Super Bowl. And when I was younger, I was in high school, and I think it was my senior year. It was either my senior year or my junior year. Either one, I guess. We didn't make it to the championship game for soccer. And I told the team, I think we were fighting for the third place game, and I told them, in the huddle, it's the last game of the season. It's like, we're not in the championship game. We're not playing for first place, but it doesn't mean we can't play like we are. It doesn't mean we can't go out there and fight, give it our best, and play a performance that is worthy of fighting for a first place trophy, even though we're fighting for a third place. Or I think my senior year, we were fighting for the fifth place consolation game, just based off the bracket. If you lose first, you go down right away, and then you got to fight your way back up to like fifth place. I think was the best you could get after that point if you didn't win more or win your first game. But I think that's how it worked. Either way, and there's so many situations in life where it's like, just because I'm not a professional MMA fighter, just because I'm not playing in the NFL, just because I don't have, I'm not the president of the United States, doesn't mean I can't work in a fashion that is the best of my career. Your whatever your goal is, whatever you wanted to be when you were younger, whatever the highest spot in your career field is, just because you're not that doesn't mean you can't work like you are and act like you are right now. Because when the time comes, if you haven't been preparing up until that point, the time comes and it's like, oh shoot, it's here. Now what do? I haven't been performing this entire time. I haven't been enjoying the process, enjoying the journey. And that kind of is a two-way street with, or a kind of a double-edged sword with that analogy. You want to be able to enjoy the process. You want to be able to enjoy it and not focus on the goal solely. But if you are taking the time to learn and grow and be a better you during that time, during that climb, that if all of a sudden it does come up and you're like, oh bang, and it's here right now, boom, we're going, it's time, I'm next. I think of Tom Brady in the NFL. He was kind of looked down on when he first got in there. People were writing him off, saying this guy isn't going to amount to much, and he still fought. He still played in practice as if he was the first string quarterback on the team. And all of a sudden, Drew Bledsoe gets injured, and Tom Brady becomes who he is after that opportunity. But it doesn't mean he was any different than he was prior to that. He kept fighting, and he ended up winning, I think, 7 Super Bowls and becoming who he is today. So just because you're not where you want to be right now doesn't mean you can't operate as if you are. And that's something that I need to tell myself daily, and that's why I do these things too, is to verbally just journal what's going on and what I'm thinking. But if I want to be at the top of my profession, so right now I work in the jail, if I want to be the jail administrator someday, or the captain, or if I wanted to be the sheriff, why wouldn't I act like a sheriff right now? Why wouldn't I act like the jail administrator right now? Go out there and do my very best, be the best that I could be, help help people in every capacity. Just because I'm not in a leadership role, I don't have the title of sergeant or captain or whatever, fill in the blank for yourself. Crew, shift leader, supervisor, doesn't mean you can't go out there and be a leader right now in the position that you're in. And that's something that I had to think about over the past few years in my capacity where I was working. Just because I'm not where I want to be doesn't mean I can't act like I am. And on the flip side of this, going back to that soccer game, just because I'm not playing in a first place game doesn't mean I can't perform like it and play like it. And just because maybe I'll never get there, maybe I will never get there, but how much will I have learned and how much will I have grown had I tried and had I enjoyed the experience of being on Survivor without actually being a winner. We went fishing this morning as a shift. Some of us did for work, and we got out there, and some people were like, "Well, I don't want to go. I don't know if I'm going to catch anything, and I'm probably not even going to catch anything. So why do I even go out there? Why do I even buy a license? Yada yada." And I kind of thought about it too, and let's go out there. We go out there. I was there for probably an hour and a half, and it was a beautiful morning. It was so perfect, sitting by the kind of the river that kind of funneled through under a bridge with a couple of my friends, a couple coworkers, and we were just fishing out there. We were casting, we were catching nothing but air and water, and maybe a couple weeds. But enjoying that journey, enjoying the process of fishing, being out there, even though we didn't catch anything, was all worth it. Makes me wonder what other areas of my life are like fishing or are like Ozzy playing Survivor, and just because I have this goal doesn't mean I solely focus on the goal, and if I don't get it, I'm a failure. It's what is the journey like during the whole process? Just because I don't catch any fish doesn't mean I'm a failure. I didn't make it. Just because I didn't, just because Ozzy didn't get to the final 3 or whatever and be voted, the sole survivor. Just because Adrian Peterson didn't get a Super Bowl win doesn't mean it was all for nothing. Kind of helps me shift my perspective and kind of look around and smell the roses, I guess. Take a sip of coffee or your energy drink, whatever it is that you partake in the morning, and be thankful for what you have. So I guess all the mumbo jumbo, word spewage coming out of my thoughts and out of my mouth right now, all of that to say, are we prepared for the moment where it's our time to step into the game, or it's our time to be handed that sole survivor title, or it's our time to be within the goal that we are chasing? And I think a really good way of doing that is by practicing gratitude, being grateful for where we are right now, and enjoying the moment and soaking in every bit of the moment and the journey. We get to the top of that mountain and we're looking at all the peaks and valleys and everything that we just overcame, and it makes it that much more sweet to know that you went through something to get to that, and you enjoyed that process along the way. And just because we'll ever get to the top, maybe you'll never get to where you want to go. Maybe something else will happen and you'll go down a different turn and end up seeing something completely different. But if you weren't having your eyes open, if you weren't enjoying the moment, you would have missed it. I can think of several times in my career when I was younger, growing up, and not wanting a certain job or not wanting to be in a certain job. I kind of keep telling myself sometimes I got to do some stuff I don't want to do in order to be where I want to be. I worked at Culver's for 2 years doing fast food. I didn't really want to work fast food. I don't think ever really wants to work in fast food, just because of the task it provides, and it's stressful. And what's up, buddy? That's Caden making his Iron Purpose debut in the back seat. But nobody. Fast food can be really strenuous. It can be really stressful, and it can be. I feel like people get crabby more than they do happy when you're dealing with them. It's kind of like working in jail, I guess. But I worked in that job because it helped pay the bills for what I wanted to do. And Zig Ziglar talks about a story where a lady came to him asking him, how can I get more positive? How can I enjoy my job more because it's awful? Everything's awful about it. I hate everything about my job. And he said, write down a list of things that you do like about your job, that you say, and in fact, when you read them out, say, I love my job because. And so Zig goes through this list of this lady, and she's like, well, I don't really like anything about it, to be honest with you. And he's just, well, do you like getting paid? She's like, well, yeah, no, I like getting paid. And he's like, well, all right, write that down. I love my job because I get paid and I'm able to pay for this. She's like, all right, well, what else? And he's like, well, do you like the people that you work with? She's like, not all of them, but there are some that I've come really close to. And he's like, all right, well, I love my job because of the friends that I made at this job. She's like, all right, I see what you're doing. Well, then he meets up with her like a week later. She sees him at an event and says, Mr. Ziegler, you'll never believe it. It's crazy. My job completely changed. Everything changed at my job, and now it's so much better. And she kind of missed the point, but it became so much better because she took in the moment and found things to enjoy within the moment, even at this job that she didn't want to be at. We can enjoy the moment, and I think it'll better prepare us for when that next step comes. And you want that promotion at your job, or you want to be a starter on your sports team. Prepare for it right now. Act like you're a starter right now. Carry yourself in a manner, mentally, that's just going to do wonders for you when you're thinking, okay, I am a starter. I am capable of being one, so I'm going to act like one. I'm going to perform like one. I'm going to be a leader like one. Doesn't mean you go bossing people around or, stepping on toes or doing things you shouldn't be, but it's more of a mental process, in my opinion. But, just enjoying the moment. Just because it's not what you want it to be right now doesn't mean you can't act like it is something that you want it to be. I think of Mondays. Nobody likes Mondays. It's Monday right now, and people think, oh, the work, the weekend is coming to an end, and I'm gonna have to get back to the work week, and it's Monday. But Monday is the same thing as a Sunday or a Saturday. It's the same day. They each end in day, and it's another opportunity that we have to experience life. Unfortunately, it's sad that I have to bring this up, but my friend, or my dad, had an acquaintance who passed away a couple weekends ago. Lost his life at the hands of somebody else, unfortunately. It's a very, very sad and awful situation, but there are some people that we may have had close to, some loved ones. I think of another guy that I went to high school with him. He was in my senior class, and we played basketball together. He passed away. His life was taken too short due to, I believe, cancer. But we don't know when our time is going to be, and if we don't enjoy these moments now, if we're so focused on one thing or another thing, and we're like, Mondays, I can't stand Mondays. If we don't soak in that opportunity, then what are we doing? If we just wait around for each Friday to come or each holiday to come. I got this tattoo on my arm right here a couple summers ago, and it's a Jake Owen album cover. Jake Owen is a country music singer, but on that EP, that album, it says "Endless Summer," and that's what this is. It's kind of like the colors of a lake and of a sunset kind of mixed in. Then the infinity symbol of waves, of just an endless opportunity to ride a wave through life. Endless summer, even if it's winter, even if the leaves are changing and it's time to get into the cold hibernation season, where a lot of seasonal depression can come out. Even for myself personally, that's something that really, you start to get down on yourself and you're just so tired of being sick and cold all the time. We can find a way to stay happy. We can find a way to stay busy. We can find a way to engage with other people and grow a community and have this endless summer mentality. There are times when it's going to be difficult. I find myself too in these slumps or these moments of where things aren't going exactly how I want them to, and it's hard to stay positive. But a lot of times, if you can fake your way through it too, you can pull yourself out. And I was having a slump the other day, and we get in the car, and my wife's like, "You doing okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just off, and I don't really know why. I don't have a reason for it. I think it's just a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of anxious thoughts trying to just creep in." And so I was kind of down and wasn't myself, and she knew that. So we get in the car, and we're driving to go pick up Kaden, and she plays Forrest Frank, "Good Day." So all of a sudden, the song is playing about having a good day. No matter what they say, the sun is shining down on me, the birds are singing praise. You're like, all right. And so you start to listen to the words, and you can kind of feel it out, and you start to get into this rhythm, and it kind of snapped me out of it. And I was able to have a better night as a result of it. I was so stuck in my stinking thinking ways of just this, all right, I'm getting down. Oh, yeah, I'm not doing so good. Yeah, buddy, you know exactly what we're talking about. You know what's up? And just that song, it was able to bring me out of it, snap me out of it. She knew that. My wife recognized that, and I really appreciate her for that. But sometimes all it can take is a perspective shift. We can look around and soak up the moment. We can be in an island in Survivor and go, wow, this is really cool. I'm going to enjoy the waves. I'm going to enjoy this scenery. And if I don't make it to the end, that's okay, because I grew stronger for the next phase of my life. I grew for myself, for my friends around me, or I was able to be prepared for that next opportunity if it does come. Being my best when my best is required. I don't have to wait. I don't have to try to work or train right now. I'm being thankful for what I have now, and I'm operating as if I am that right now. Maybe it's saving up some money. I don't have the best car in the world. I don't have a super fancy car. Maybe it's putting some money down as if I do, make some payments, and then if it doesn't ever come, I have this big stack of money that I have saved up for this vehicle that I wanted to put towards something different. Or when it does come, the opportunity does come, now I am able to spend it on that thing. You never know what's going to happen in life. The same goes for my body. I'm training for a certain event. Maybe I'm going to go for a boxing match or a jiu-jitsu match or whatever. I'm not. I don't compete at all, but you're going out there and you're preparing for it. You're putting in the hours and putting in the work, eating nutrition properly. If the moment comes, the fight comes, you're able to go out there and do your best to get a knockout. But if you lose, you're still in really good shape. Your body's healthy, your mind's right. I prepare mentally for a promotion, for an interview. I go into it super confident, knowing that I'm capable of doing it. Somebody else gets the job. It doesn't mean that it's all for nothing. My preparation was all for nothing. I was still able to learn and become a better person as a result. I've studied up. Okay, now I'm able to go and apply that to my job the next day. I'm able to carry that confidence with me. Just because I didn't get it doesn't mean I'm less of a person or less of an officer. So I challenge you to try to think of a way that you can plug that mentality into your life. Trying to soak up the moment and have this endless summer mentality. Have some gratitude. Find gratitude in your current moment, and take that with you into the next phase of your life. If you don't reach that goal, at least you've enjoyed the moment. You've joined the journey. You've enjoyed that process. You've enjoyed the climb up that mountain and took in the scenery along the way, even if you didn't get to the top of it. Maybe you had to take a different direction, or maybe something else happened. But when that moment does come, we're able to grasp it. We're able to take it in. But just like that, like I said with the analogy with the payments on a truck that you're hoping to get, if you don't get it, now you're sitting on a fat stack of cash, and you're able to use it on something different. This is Iron Purpose. Stay sharp, everybody.